Boys baseball game's 3 to 7.
It's what?
3 to
7 to 3?
Yeah.
My great-grandson's playing, you know.
Oh, and
That's where I was,
Oh.
for Elma, and I left to go home and get ready to come here, and he hit it out of the park.
Oh,
And I missed it.
No.
Yes, I'm in my bedroom getting ready, and the phone rings, and I thought, who's calling me on my house phone? My daughter Valerie. Mom, you just missed it. He hit it out of the park just after you left. I said, oh goody. Yeah, it was 5 to 3 when I left, so, and now it's 7 to 3, so they
You
lost.
probably hit it because you left.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I doubt if he even knew I was there, Dan. You know, I'm just the great grandma, not the grandma. Anyway,
You play for Elma?
he plays for Elma, yeah. He lives in McClary.
Pretty handily when I was there taking.
Yeah, they, yeah.
Tenino's having a tough year this year.
I don't know.
The girls aren't.
Tenino's ranked 8th in the state.
I know, taking
Yeah.
pictures there.
I can't handle their sportsmanship on that.
Well, I'm not gonna say a lot about the Beavers today.
Really?
Yeah,
I
from the
heard that
dugout.
last night there was some.
They
fun
were
stuff.
just, they just really, you know, that, I hate the heckling
Yes.
of the picture.
Yeah.
Well, that's all
And
they
that's
did.
what the girls, Elma girls do
Well,
to ours.
and that's what the Beavers were doing
See, I
out
heard
of the
that
Elma
coaches let
guys,
that
so there you
happen.
go.
It's, yeah, I don't like it.
The boys were doing it to the.
Yeah, awful.
That's terrible.
Welcome to the, this is April, isn't it? April 25th, Tenino City Council Workshop. We're going to start with a discussion on the RV ordinance discussion. You know, I think we need to think some more about this before we make any decisions. I didn't have this paperwork. Does anybody have anything to say about what your ideas on what it is that we should be doing with this?
Yeah. Say thank you for the work and then throw it in the garbage. I mean, you know, nobody at this point has been able to explain what affordable housing is. And what this will do is, if it is affordable housing for some other family member, and they have a space to, and the family member has the space on their property that they paid for, that they're paying taxes on, and everything else that goes with owning that piece of property, to tell them that they can't do this is just, in my opinion, the wrong thing to do. We're in a housing crisis right now. We can't get anybody to actually give us a real definition of what affordable housing is. The definition that we got at our last meeting was what I was using when I was doing mortgage money. And that's just to say, if you're spending over a certain percent of your income, then you may not qualify for a loan, okay? Well, that doesn't fit for what a lot of people are going through in the state right now. They're not looking to buy a house, they're looking for some place to stay. And if you're not making a whole lot of money going by that 30%, if you're homeless, you've got to be making somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 a month just to spend 30% of your money on rental.
So you're saying that you think that this should be allowed, that we should allow them to put recreational vehicles on their property for
Yes.
people to live in?
It's their property.
I'm here on behalf of the planning commission who brought this to you. That's why I'm here.
Oh, will you want to go to the podium with the mic?
I was just waiting to be invited.
Oh,
Please.
okay, yeah.
Please come talk to us. Come talk to us, Dave, please.
Okay, Dave Watterson, 1132 Central Avenue East. I'm here on behalf of the Planning Commission. Just a little bit of history on this. I brought this to the Planning Commission probably over a year ago when we started talking about this. And this was not bought to try to solve the problems with derelict people putting trailers on, bringing a trailer in and selling drugs out of it or anything. This is not going to solve our problem with people just bringing a trailer and using it inappropriately. this was brought forward to allow people that want to be honest, may have a family that wants to stay for a little longer than 14 days on their property, to do it legally and make sure it's done properly. So it wasn't there was nothing about this that was supposed to solve the problems with derelict trailers or anything else. Some examples I can provide to you is, again, like I said, a family, maybe they're snowbirds and they want to come up and be close to their family for a couple months, and so they could put a trailer on the side. Maybe it's somebody that had a child and they want their parents to come and stay for a short period of time to help them when it's a newborn. One of the other ones I saw in town here was somebody was sick and they needed some care, and somebody brought their trailer in and parked it on their property and stayed there for extended time, and now they had to leave because it was seen. And so I want to allow people that want to do the right things an opportunity and with guidelines to be able to do those things. That's what this is about. So just to kind of make that clear, we weren't trying to solve
Right.
what Rainey talked about. So we worked on this. We talked about a lot of the issues that Rainey brought up, and I can kind of go through those if you want to.
Okay.
I just kind of wrote down in the order that he talked about them. One of the things or I think John actually mentioned it, was lot size, that some people wouldn't be able to take advantage of it because of their lot size, because it requires you to either put it on the side of your property or the back. And we did send this to the lawyer for review. He did leave in there that it had to be 10 feet from the side, a neighboring property, but he didn't believe it was necessary to put, how close you can put it to your house. Now, I think anybody that's got an RV that's gonna do something like I'm suggesting here would probably most likely wouldn't put their RV right next to the house, and but there is requirements for them to be 10 feet from the neighbor's property. They can't run generators. They can't disrupt the neighbors. If there's questions, so as I go along, go ahead, feel free to.
So one of the things that Rainey brought up was running cords to the electricity for the house, and that's dangerous, a fire danger or whatever.
Here's what I'm not, he can have his opinion, I'm great. But you see trailers all over this town, parked next to the house, plugged into power. Maybe nobody's living in them, but drive around here and look at the trailers that people have parked right next to their house. They're plugged into power. Often there's no any more danger than me plugging my car into my house. I have an outside plug in my house that was inspected by the government.
Well, we're gonna have to do something about that.
Yeah, I know.
That can I add, Dave? I agree with Dave on that, because when we owned our trailer, we had it plugged in to our house, and it's just not a plug-in where you just plug it in. There's a certain kind of plug-in you have to have that makes it safe. So
it's supposed to be inspected. If you put it in after, it should. I mean, I can put it in. It's still supposed to be inspected by the state. It's not like, it's like putting any plug in your house or any electrical in your house. It should be inspected and it should be deemed safe. It's got a circuit breaker. It should meet the standards of the trailer. So that was one thing he said that he was worried about that I don't agree with. I disagree with that.
Well, there is power cords for the trailers.
Yeah, and they make
specifically.
specific power
And
cords for the trailers.
You would just have to probably get a permit to install an amp plug-in.
Yeah, you'd have to get
well,
have a
I
plug
don't know if
installed.
you need a permit, but it has to be. You should get it inspected.
The state, electricals are done by the state. So, like when I got my plug-in for my car, there was a permit from the state.
Yeah.
They came out and inspected it after it was installed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Setback, I talked about the setbacks. There's 10 feet. Then he mentioned fires also. Of course, there could be a trailer that catches on fire. There could be a car that catches on fire. We allow a car to be parked inside a house. They catch on fire too. So I think, again, I'm trying to be diplomatic. I think that's overblown. I think the fact that thing could catch on fire and catch the house on fire is, anything. Even just like you said, park next to your house, just sitting there could catch on fire. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I don't know why we would not do this because of that, because there's many things that go on that could cause a fire that spreads to a house. He also mentioned that wasn't aware of any place that allowed this except during the construction of a home, which is not true. I got on the MRSC website. I looked through hundreds and hundreds of ordinances to find places that did this. And in your packet, there's actually Pierce County allows it, and it even gives the chapters of the code that allows it. And it's basically how they do their temporary use. So that affidavit of temporary use is Pierce County that allows it, but there's many other cities that allow temporary use of RVs on a home site. I don't have a list of all of them. That's how I drafted this initial draft, was just going through those and trying to pull the best pieces of each one of them to put it together. I talked about the electrical. He mentioned check valves for water. Again, I could find no requirements for a check valve if you run a hose from your house. It might be a great idea, and I'm guessing a lot of RVers, if they're hooked up to a water supply, they have their own check valve just so they don't get bad water back into their system. But there's no requirement for that. So, I mean, do we want to require it? I don't. It's not a requirement by the state. If you're hooking up, I hooked up to RV spots and I never had a check valve on my trailer before. So I don't know what his big concern is about that, but I don't see it being I mean, if you're using your hose to flush out your septic tank too, that might be an issue. But if you're just using your water hose to hook into the trailer from the house, that's what I saw online, was people were concerned about people using their hose for their water, and then you taking it off and using it to flush their sewer system in their trailers. So you'd be contaminated, basically. So anyway, I don't know that that's an issue. To me, it's not an issue. But like I said, the sewer, he talked about the sewer. I've talked to Troy about this. In my case, I have a place that I could run a sewer into the sewer. He has no problem with that. And I think it was talked about at the meeting, well, they're going to be putting a lot of sewage into our system. I have a charge in this ordinance. There's a charge. If you want to connect into the sewer, it has to be, make sure it's connected properly to a proper connection. It's $25 a month. And I guess my argument again is, I have 3 people living in my big house. I could have 20 people living in there. We don't charge them extra because I have 20 people living in my house versus 2. But I did put a charge in just so if somebody questions it, there's at least, I think, that covers any the little, I would think, that would come from a travel trailer, additional sewage, if they choose to hook into that. They also have the option of, they have tanks now that you can hook it into and take it and dump it someplace. Or they could just pull their trailer, which wouldn't be very convenient. But there are other options. But if people have it properly set up and can connect to the sewer, there is language in there that requires them to pay the homeowner to pay $25 a month. Let's see. There was some mention of garbage. Again, this is hopefully what people are going to get these permits. They're going to take care of their garbage. And I think actually this makes it easier for us to identify the people that are doing the right thing. So if he's driving around town, my idea was to have a permit that they put on someplace on their trailer where it's visible from the street. So as he's driving around, he'll know those people that have done the right things, come in and got the right, information. So he can look at that and see that that's covered and doesn't have to try to figure out, oh, is this trailer just somebody, using it illegally, or is this somebody that's come in and got a permit, gone through the process of making sure it's inspected and well suited for the site. So I think it makes it actually easier on Rainey to identify the ones that aren't doing the right thing versus the ones that are. What else? There was a question about the length of time. I would actually have it more than our lawyer suggested. He said 120 days in any 1 year period. I had 120 days plus additional 120 days if people needed it. But the lawyer suggested 60 days and 1 extension available. So it'd be the maximum of 120 days in any 1 year period that this could happen on any individual lot. So you can't do 120 days and then immediately come in and do another 120 days and so on. The other thing the lawyer changed on there, our current ordinance says you can be there 15 days without a permit. I had said made it 14 days without a permit. So you could still do your normal, if you wanted just to have somebody at your house for a short period of time, you didn't need to go through the permit process. The lawyer changed that. His suggestion is we move that to a month, but again, this is something the council would have to decide if you wanted to allow it to go out to a month without a permit. And that was a change that the lawyer made. I left it at 15 days when I originally put this together. Let's see. One thing he did take, we had in my initial proposal, it didn't allow any parking on the street side, on the right of way. He took that out because of the Boise decision. I don't know if you're aware of that. I think it's out of Idaho that this is the whole thing with homeless people living in cars on the right of way. And I think that basically the decision says you can't move them out of there unless you provide them another. So he suggested we take that out of there because technically we couldn't.
It's a public
do that.
street.
Yeah, but that really, it doesn't mean they can park on the right of way, I don't think. We're still saying side or back, but he just didn't want that language in there because, again, it couldn't be enforced if somebody wanted to claim they were homeless and park on our right of way.
So in other words, if somebody has one, just like they did down by the hospital, and they all lined up, okay? With the Boise decision, they can park anywhere throughout the city, and we can't do anything about it. But we're telling people that are putting these on their private property that they've got to follow rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm kind of on your thing. As long as they're not hurting their neighbors and there's not garbage, I think they should be able to keep one there personally, but that's not what the planning commission suggested. So I'm just trying to say what was, what we talked about and what they brought forward. I would be much more liberal with it than they were, but that's how this works, What else? I know there was concerns about tracking. I think it could be simply a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that would just notify you when somebody's, time's coming up and somebody can go make sure they're either moved or extension. Lost my train of thought there on that one. I'm just reading through this, sorry, because I was going to say something I forgot. There can only be one on the site. Only one trailers are allowed on any site. So it's not like somebody can bring in 4 trailers if they can fit them on there.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be just somebody parking their whole, I think temporarily they could still bring them up if somebody wanted to have 3 people camping on their property for up to 14 days. I don't think our ordinance would not allow that now, but for longer term, they can only have one trailer on site.
There was a discussion about limiting how many issues.
That's what I was gonna.
Okay.
So I had this in my original proposal also. My whole idea, let's do a trial. Let's allow a few people to get permits for this. And my suggestion was up to 10, and then review the whole process. Is it working? Is it not working? Do we need to just throw it away because it's such a pain, or do we need to do modifications? So my original intent was to do this as a pilot project, allow up to 10, and then review it after like 6 months and see how it's going. And he took that out of there, I believe. But he said it's up to the council. They can decide whatever they want, is what the lawyers was. But that was my suggestion, is to do a limited number so we don't get overwhelmed until we kind of figure out how this is going to work.
I think my question is, have we had a lot of people coming to the city wanting to do this? I mean, have we had any applications at all to?
Well, I know there's people doing it. I drive around and look all the time because it's something that I'm.
And there are people living in the trailers?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's people that have family here.
Right.
It was my neighbor that was sick, and they had 2 people kind of helping them and had their trailers parked in their side yard, and unfortunately had to move them because one of the other things I heard him say.
They had to move them because I didn't think we had an ordinance on it.
We don't. We don't now, this is a new, we just have the ordinance that says 14 days you can be.
And that's it, 14
Yeah.
days.
Well, 15 I think it is now.
Okay.
But it doesn't require a permit or anything.
Okay.
So now, that's why I wanted this, because I want people to be able
Right.
to do the right thing if they want somebody to stay a little longer. And I think it's good for our community. I think, another example, my son, him and his wife were renting, they sold a house, they wanted to build a house. They didn't have any place to stay for a few months. They wanted to live in a trailer while they were building their house. Who wouldn't do that? If you had a kid that was, in a position like that, why would you make them try to spend $2,000 a month to try to find a rental for a few months while they're building the house? To me, it's just the common sense things most people would want to do with their families, or if a friend was in trouble and needed a temporary place to stay for a month or something. I think we would all want to do that for one of our family members if we could. So these are the kinds of things I see this. It's not gonna, the people that are doing bad things in trailers. So anyway, that's the red markup is what the lawyer had, and what I wrote is on this other sheet
Okay.
that just had some kind of basic writing. And then
We're not gonna take any action on
Yeah, I
this
know.
tonight, so,
I just I apologize for not being here in February. I just totally spaced. It would have been a lot easier if I would have been here to talk about it at the same time other people did.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well-
So again, I apologize for that, but I just want to hear from the other side
Yeah.
versus just one person that seems to be against this
Thank
since we started.
Yeah,
talking
I
about it.
appreciate you showing up, David.
yeah, thanks,
Talking
Dave.
about this.
And
Thank you.
anytime you guys have a question that comes up between now and if you vote on it, give me a buzz or send me an
Okay,
email.
okay.
If you think it's
We can do
something
that.
that you want to
Okay,
ask about, because we talk for hours about this, so probably anything you can think of, we talked about also.
Next discussion, I'll make sure that you know that we're discussing it again, so
Right.
I apologize.
I would appreciate it coming to the floor. Just
Oh,
so
yeah.
one way or another
Sure,
decision's made,
sure.
So we know that it's done
Mm-hmm.
at some point.
Thank you, Dave.
thanks, Dave. Instead of talking about the public safety sales tax discussion, I wanted to bring something up in the work session that happened during the legislature. The legislature failed to pass 5536, which was the substance abuse legislation. And if the governor does not call a special session and they do not come to an agreement on some kind of a Blake, something to counteract the Blake decision, it's gonna come down to cities and counties to make their own laws, and boy, would that ever be a mess. But that's what it'll come down to. So I think it's something that we all have to be thinking about.
Yeah, I'm
between
glad
now
you're
and
bringing.
the 1st of July, because that's when it's gonna take effect if they don't come to some kind of a decision, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Linda, because I agree with you. We need to start thinking about
Yeah.
this and make our own
We do,
decisions.
I think the prudent thing to do if we have to go that way is to just follow whatever the county's doing, so it's not different in every city in the county, but,
My idea was, between now and then, was to get together with all the cities and towns and the county and form a committee to start looking at this. The biggest problem to this, and I'm glad you brought it up, because if you didn't, I was going to, is funding. No matter what we decide that we're going to do, how are we going to pay for the health care? How are we going to pay if we have to put somebody in jail? That's the big bugaboo.
it's the behavioral health issue, part of that bill that is going to be the problem for individual counties or cities, but it's something that, when it comes down to it, it's something that's gonna have to be done before the 1st of July, so, anyway.
Otherwise, you can possess and use out in the street,
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
You can't
yeah.
be stopped, they can't do anything to you about it. So it will fall upon us. Maybe Linda sees it different, but I don't think the governor is going to
Well, I
do
don't know.
anything
I
but
don't
sign
know.
the bill.
I don't know, I'm still getting a lot of phone calls, I'm still working, getting a lot of phone calls, asking them to please call a special session for this thing, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't-
I'm not holding my breath on that one.
Well,
I agree with you.
anyway, I just thought it was worth something for us to talk about a little bit at the work session. So.
Thank you.
And we can discuss the public safety sales tax, but I want to wait until we get some figures. So, and Jen's going to work on that. So, okay, we've got about 6 minutes before the session starts.
Start going through the reports.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do the reports. Chamber of Commerce, did you get the email from George?
Okay, this is the George report. I am no longer able to attend council meetings because he is doing dialysis a few days a week, so he'll be sending these for us to read. The chamber report. Next Oregon Trail Days Committee meeting is Monday, May 1st at 5:30 at the Sandstone Cafe. The next chamber lunch forum is Wednesday, May 17th. EDC board meeting is tomorrow, April 26th. Steady is held a good meeting last Friday in Yelm. John O'Callahan attended. The next study meeting is May 19th, location to be decided. Speakers will be from the St. Martin's University Engineering Department. Arch Commission Metal Banner Art Project is in the design and build stage. They have not scheduled the next meeting. That is it.
Okay. Thurston County Fire.
Dave, you want to talk?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Add anything? Do I have anything you said?
Okay, we've got a special meeting coming up tomorrow, not tomorrow, Thursday, to do evaluation on the chief. Next month is, the evaluation is prelim to approval of the new contract for him. It's been 4 years already. It's gone quick. Dave and I attended a meeting. Where was that meeting? Thank you. Up in Kitsap County. The second half was all about leadership. I always love those. The first half, though, was very interesting. What Shelton, Mason County is doing, and it seems to be helping the hospitals relieve a lot of the pressure that's on them. And that's something that's happening all over the place. Hospitals are getting stacked up. I mean, just people after people. They were going through, what was it, 16 people with 400 or something like that calls to the hospital per month. It was a ridiculously high number. So what they're doing is they're using somebody that's like a corpsman in the Navy. They're trained. What do they call those guys?
Physician assistant.
That's it. Physician assistants.
Yeah, like,
A
yeah,
PA.
that's who I go
Yeah.
to is yeah.
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 They're starting to use them because those guys have, as long as they're underneath a physician, they pretty much have full authority to issue prescriptions and all kinds of stuff like that. And instead of going to the hospital, they're getting references, people calling up and saying, hey, maybe you can go see these people or that person. And what's happening is it's reduced the amount of people that are going to the hospital, therefore alleviating a lot of the backup and helping not just the hospital, but the person themselves. Because sometimes they'll come out of the hospital with a whole bunch of prescriptions without the ability to figure out exactly what they're supposed to do. So they're either taking them or not taking them. And we get help that way. They get help with housing, they get help with food, all the things that they need, and they just don't know how to access. So I've made arrangements with Mason County to speak at the Chiefs Association. It's probably going to be in the next 2 months or so to give a brief synopsis of how that works. But I think it's something, because it's a brand new program, and I think it's something that can work extremely well here in Thurston County. And because our hospitals are going through the same thing, and if we can reduce one person from going to the hospital 20, 30, 40 times in a month, that's going to save a whole lot of space for other people that need it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Since we got a plethora of the fire commissioners here, I did attend also. Our fire department's approach has been so far, they want to start charging the hospital when we have to wait there with our transport unit, and also allow our transport people to go in the hospital, give them the paperwork and say, we're leaving this patient, and after 20 minutes, give them ability to do that. which they say they're just trying to get the hospital's attention with that. The commission voted to do that, move forward with it. I voted against it, but that's what the commission voted for. And I attended a meeting of other South Thurston County fire departments about this, and they all agreed to take this to the fire chiefs for their opinion on it. But they were very supportive of it. I am not. I think it's not the right way to approach it. I think what John just talked about is more of the right approach. Let's see how we can work together, because hospitals are overwhelmed. What are you supposed to do when you have 50 people stacked up there?
Yeah.
And it's a burden. It's a burden on the fire departments, because sometimes they're waiting an hour or 2 hours. It's a burden.
I had a
But-
friend that her husband, she had a stroke.
Yeah.
Her husband took her to St. Pete's, and after 5 hours, he put her back in the car and took her up to St. Joseph's.
Yeah.
She had a lot longer
Right.
recovery because of it, because
Right.
they didn't get to
They
it
didn't
right
get to
away.
her in the-
But they
They're
left her sitting
literally-
there for 5 hours, so.
There are literally people dying in the
Well,
ambulances
Valley
waiting to
down
get into
here
the
has
hospital
a-
right now.
That's what
It's
they
insane.
have, are physician assistants at Valley View,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like them. I really do.
So anyway, it's a very
They have an
complicated
ER
issue,
and down there,
and
too.
I just want to make sure we don't make things worse by,
Yeah.
pissing somebody off.
Yep, I think it's 7:30. Welcome to the April 25th Tenino City Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have an agenda before you.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for the April 25th, 23 meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes of the April 11th, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the April 11th, 2023 minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a consent calendar consisting of April 12th, 2023 through April 25th, 2023. Payroll EFTs in the amount of $74,910.14. Claims checks number 31344 through 31372, and EFTs in the amount of $133,891.65, for a grand total of $208,801.79, with liquor cannabis license for Landmark Tavern.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as read. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There is no executive session and there is no presentations. When it comes to public comment number 1, if anyone in the audience has something that they want, public comment, please come to the podium and give your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Again, anyone in the audience would like to make a public comment? Hearing none, moving on. No public hearing, no proclamations. Old business, a change order in the Sussex water line. Jen, you want to explain, please?
This is a change order for the Sussex water main replacement. The increased contract time and value to account for additional scope involving connections to existing water main. The reason for this change is differing site conditions and increase in the sales tax from 8% to 8.1. So this is a difference increase of $9,819.92. That includes tax. So basically, we did not charge the proper tax at the time.
I'm so happy with
This is from our great
With
Friends.
regret, I have to move approval.
Yeah, thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to, to change order for the Sussex water line. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have a new business. Military honor performance is being requested to take place in this Tenino city limits. This is a letter written by Sharon Paulson. I am submitting written request to have military honors performed at the Celebration of Life for Glenn A. Paulson Sr. on June 3rd, 2023 at the First Presbyterian Church, 196 West Central Avenue between 11 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. These honors will be performed by military guard and will include discharge of weapons with blank firing ammunition. Although I understand there are city ordinances in place prohibit the discharge of weapons within the city limits of Tenino, I'm asking this be allowed for his service. Thank you in advance for your consideration of my request. Sharon Paulson.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to allow military honors firing blank, where did you go here? Blank ammunition in the city limits on June 3rd, 2023.
Yeah, the only problem I have with this is that's not Navy.
Oh. Well, sorry. Okay, we have no resolutions, ordinances. We've already started on, so next would be library, not here, museum, not here.
Did we vote on it?
Pardon?
Yes, we did.
Didn't you vote on it? I thought you did.
Oh,
No.
I didn't know we
You
voted.
didn't?
Ask a question. On the celebration of life, was the first name Lynn or Glenn?
Glenn, Glenn, Glenn.
Thank you.
She was the one who brought it to council.
Glenn A. Paulson, yeah.
Got it, thank you.
Okay,
We'll get Vicki that wrong for you.
yes, and that's okay, that's okay. And the Tenino Community Service Center isn't here. No Civil Service Commission, and no facade improvement grant review. Finance Committee, we are meeting next week, isn't it? Is it 4th, 3rd? I think we're meeting the 3rd.
I think it's the 4th. It's Thursday, isn't it?
No, I think it's Wednesday the 3rd. Anyway, we're meeting next week. The Planning Commission, did you have an update, Dave?
I'll just real briefly, I don't know if you're aware, Corey Mounts, who's been on the Planning Commission for some time, resigned. I think he wants to do some work with the Audubon Society. Unfortunately, I gave him a bad time because we're right in the middle of this housing plan and starting to look at the comprehensive plan update. So he will be missed, but we'll power through, but we'll be looking for
a
another
new
commissioner
person,
also.
yeah.
So the two big things is the housing plan we're trying to get wrapped up here pretty soon, which, like John said, is such a difficult issue when you talk, especially try to do anything with affordable housing. So you'll probably see that coming to you in not too long away, and then we're working on the comprehensive plan update.
Actually, I followed a bill through that didn't make it, that was gonna, about lot splitting. And the bill did not make it through, so I'm sure it'll come up. I know it'll come up again next year, so.
So other than that, I think that's kind of our two big things that we'll
Okay.
be working on.
Thank you.
That
Chief of Police.
Finance Committee meeting is Thursday, May the 4th.
It is?
Yes.
At what time?
Next Thursday.
Yeah, I know,
Next Thursday.
Yeah,
but it's in the morning. Oh, good.
we did it in the morning
Okay,
this time.
okay,
Wasn't it 10?
okay. Chief of Police? No?
No report.
No, how about Public Works? Do you have any report?
I can have
No,
to.
you have that Finance Committee meeting at 4:30 in the evening, afternoon.
No. It's in the morning. I know it is. We'll talk about it later. We
Yeah.
don't need to talk about it right now.
I did not get a report from Public Works. I'm just gonna sort of fill you guys in on what's going on over there. Quarry House the ramp is just getting wrapped up. I met today with CDBG regarding some additional funding that is gonna become available. So I believe that's going to cover our overage that we did, which is huge. And then it's gonna also give us a little additional to fix up the backstage and bring those steps up to code and hopefully get a railing on it. So it's very exciting. The playground, the pump track was delivered last week in 8 million pieces. It's very exciting. It takes up, I think, both bays of the public workshop, as well as there's a storage container full. They've been working, moving land over there every single day. So that's coming soon. I believe we're just waiting for the concrete to be poured. So now that the sunshine's here, we can pour the concrete to make the ramps that will be ADA accessible to the playground, and then we'll at least get to move the fence away and let kids play while the pump track is still being worked on.
2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, the weather has not been on our side for concrete. Ritter Street is all finished, but the sidewalk, they did tear up a chunk because there wasn't a ramp put on to make that ADA. So that when they pour that concrete will be done as well. That is kind of my only report for Public Works. The Quarry House, the first rental is happening on Thursday. The VCB is meeting there. So if anyone's interested, the Visitors Convention Bureau will be meeting in there. And Land Lease 2 for the Egg Park will be coming to you guys next week. We have some meetings with attorneys to finalize that. But the mayor wanted me to share WSU. Right? Yep. They are meeting on Thursday at the Egg Park. A bunch of students are coming. I don't know a ton about it, but I know it's exciting.
Oh, the WSU, you mean? Washington State University? Oh, yeah.
No, yes. That's right. WSU and Congresswoman Perez's office.
Oh,
so they'll be
wonderful.
doing a big tour at the Egg Park. I believe
when is
that's
that?
at 10:30.
When?
This Thursday.
Naturally.
Yeah. So if anybody's interested, you're welcome to join us for that.
No, I'm working.
And that is all I have.
Well, stay
Any
there.
questions?
No, no questions, but you're next.
Well, that was half mine as well. Half that was
That
my
was
report.
half and half.
Continuing to
Okay.
work on the audit. Got to fill in for the mayor and Linda Godovac
Yes,
today
yeah.
at the ribbon cutting, so that was very exciting. And, all these things. I'm helping work on all these things. There will be a big press release. I've been working with Jessica on that. She's going to do a little release about all the things happening on the streets, the big chip seal project, as well as the energy vehicle, plug-in that's happening. We're going to have a spot for
stations.
recharging
Where's it going?
station
Where's it
at the
gonna be?
Egg Park.
Oh,
So she's going to report on that, and then about the Ritter Street being finished, as well as North Hodgson, where we're going to put in, parking and
Yeah.
new sidewalks and crosswalks and
How many
all the things.
vehicles will be able to charge over there?
Well, that's going to probably be in the press release.
Okay.
I don't have that answer for you, but we're working on it.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, John.
I believe it's one fast charger and 4 slower chargers that people are there for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we here? City planner, no. Mayor, no. BDAP,
There's no report.
okay. Solid Waste Advisory.
No report in the meeting for next month.
Okay.
The month of May has been canceled.
Okay. School Board.
The Tenino Elementary School received a grant to expand their garden, so they're going to start construction on that soon, and they're going to have pictures. I'm not sure how they're expanding it, but I think that's pretty exciting that they're growing so much that they need more. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Great.
The new portable that's over at Parkside is almost complete, and it'll be ready for this upcoming school year. At the last meeting, the middle school did a presentation with the Principal Hodgkins and the ASB president sharing updates with the community. So we have future leaders coming our way. Also, just a reminder that the FFA plant sale is going to be happening in May.
Yes, oh, yes.
May 5th through the 7th. So, yeah, you definitely want to get there early because a lot of the good stuff goes quick. So that's it for the school.
TRPC.
TRPC and TPP really didn't have anything that affects any of us in South County. So
Okay. I have a report from the legislature. I'm very excited about the capital budget that passed. The Ag Park got $1,250,000. The Tenino Playground, our bathrooms or whatever, got $515,000.
Wow.
The Stone Carvers got $160,000. And the South Thurston Fire District got $3,050,000 in the capital budget. We have people working for us down here in South County.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm going to be working on during the summer with the Association of Fire Commissioners is legislation that makes it easier for small communities like us to get money when things fall apart. Basically, you go out for a vote of people, they say yes, the money starts coming in, and then prices just skyrocket, and all the money's gone. And how you gonna backfill that? For the larger jurisdictions, it's usually a whole lot easier for them to tap into the state budget. For the smaller communities, it gets really difficult for us to do that. So I've got an idea. I'm going to see if we can't get it flushed out and make a presentation for the state next year.
Good, thank you.
That's awesome, Linda. It's too bad news reports can't report on stuff like that.
Pardon me?
I said that's really awesome about the money that's coming in.
Yeah.
It's too bad news reports can't report on
Exactly.
stuff
Did
like
you
that.
get all of that down that I?
How much was the fire district got?
$3,050,000.
3.05
Mm-hmm. And $160,000 for the stone carver.
right?
515 for the
15 for the playground,
playground.
and 1.25 million for the egg park.
Yep.
So exciting.
A lot of good things happening.
Good.
I heard about the budget over the weekend. I was
Yeah, oh
happy.
God, I was
happy.
ecstatic, when I woke up, well, Monday morning when I went into work and pulled up my computer and it passed. Okay. It's public comment period number 2. If there's anyone in the audience would like to provide public comment, please do so now. Leave your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Going once, going twice. Any announcements?
Getting a little bit closer. On September 9th, First Responder Potluck.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, it's time to adjourn.
Non-debatable motion.
Love.